Prize-winning poet Carl Sandburg famously said, "Money is power, freedom, a cushion, and the root of all evil." Cash has been king for centuries, and people with cash have always found creative ways of concealing it. During the Roman Empire, the Romans used to hide their coins in wine vases. But in the mid-20th century, shell companies became the new wine vase. And it wasn't just tycoons using shells. It was drug dealers, it was the mob, it was even the CIA.
First, CIA itself set up a number of dummy foundations, calling them by impressive-sounding, if meaningless, names. Their sole function was to channel money from the CIA to a second kind of foundation. Now, these foundations were real. Some obscure, some well-known, all involved in legitimate philanthropy. But now, in addition, they agreed to become conduits for Central Intelligence, mixing up the government money with their own, and then passing it on to the ever-growing list of private organizations which, during the 40s, 50s, and 60s, were climbing aboard the CIA payroll.
But a wise statesman with something to hide knows better than to use CIA tactics. The 20 shell companies of the Biden family are a labyrinth that the IRS whistleblowers were blocked from cracking. House investigators say foreigners may have laundered up to $50 million into Biden family accounts. So where'd the money go? Where's the 10% being held for the big guy? We know that the Bidens had offshore accounts, but what if Joe Biden wasn't paid in cash? Remember this 3-carat diamond the Chinese gave Hunter? It was worth around 80 grand. That diamond is starting to look like a sloppy mistake because it turns out that wasn't the only diamond. The Biden family's Chinese business partners actually purchased $23 million in diamonds between 2016 and 17. There it is. 18 different jewelry transactions. So the Biden family was doing business with Chinese diamond dealers. Everybody knows diamonds, a time-tested way to launder money and hide that money from IRS agents. Diamonds and art, both spaces that Hunter plays in. There's no paper trail or record keeping with diamond transactions. The Biden family business partner, Yi Jingming, owned a Chinese energy company, but his books kind of look like Tiffany's. This wasn't the first time the Bidens avoided cash. The Ukrainians gave Hunter a $100,000 watch. The Kazakhstanis gave Hunter a $140,000 Porsche. And the Chinese gave Hunter diamonds. Joe Biden had dinner with everybody who lavished Hunter with luxurious gifts. Now, do legitimate American businessmen get paid by foreign clients in diamonds, cars, and watches? No. These look like bribes. We may not realize the total number of bribes or locate Biden's offshore funds or know the source of the funds if diamonds were involved. We don't know how many decades this was going on because, as we showed you Friday, Joe and Hunter have been working rooms together their whole lives. In 2005, fresh off giving a speech at the Jefferson-Jackson Day dinner in South Carolina, Senator Joe Biden was caught on tape shaking hands and schmoozing with Hunter right by his side. Now, you'll see a casual conversation about family smoothly turns into business. Watch.
I'm a grandfather. I don't know. It's wonderful. Grandfather.
Yes.
It's hard.
Yes. I know.
It's hard for that.
Rich has mostly grandsons.
Yeah. Well, maybe we can work something out, man.
Yeah.
That's right.
Yeah, that's what we'll do.
Well, Hunter was just telling about his firm in Washington, D.C.
Yeah.
Law firm.
Yeah.
Do you have a card by any chance?
I do. I don't, but I'll give you my.
Well, let me give you my
Yeah,
card.
and then I'll get in contact. I gave them all away.
Okay.
Well, that was a wonderful speech.
Thank you, my friend.
That was Bo who wrote that.
You're there from the
Involved and interested, but he doesn't really know where to go and what to do.
Around 10 years after that, the Bidens were in business together again on the European continent. Vice President Joe Biden was visiting Ukraine. Weeks later, his son gets a board seat on Burisma. A month later, Vice President Joe Biden visits Romania. And a year later, Hunter gets $1 million from the Romanians. Now, this is where it gets really fishy. The White House stenographer tells Primetime, a day later, the vice president peeled away from the press to visit Cyprus, a tiny island in the middle of the Mediterranean. Now, it had been 50 years since an American with Biden's political resume had visited Cyprus.
People have asked me, what do you think of Cyprus? 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 What do you think of Cypr What's in this for the United States? I tell you, President Obama and I believe that Cyprus is a key partner in a challenging region.
But what's really in Cyprus? Burisma is incorporated in Cyprus. It's also where the Romanians' real estate company was incorporated. And Cyprus just happens to be where Russians move their rubles to avoid Ukraine war sanctions. Our Cypriot producer says the locals all say Cyprus is the place you go in Europe if you want to launder money. So Biden shaking off the press for a surprise visit to the Cayman Islands of the Mediterranean, where his family had millions in shady business moving through. Come on. Now, Biden's been able to avoid scrutiny for so long, it's no wonder he thinks he's untouchable.
Mr. President, what is your response to Republicans opening an impeachment inquiry into you?
But when you follow the money, you don't need luck. The Bidens know this. So the Biden family has launched a war on the whistleblowers. In order to intimidate IRS agents and anybody else who dares to pursue corruption, Hunter Biden's lawyers have sued the IRS for embarrassing him. They claim his confidential tax information has been exposed, and you know how much Hunter hates being exposed. IRS whistleblower Joseph Ziegler joins me now. Joseph, when you hear as an agent about diamonds, what kind of alarm bells does that set off?
Jesse, thank you so much for having me. So when it comes to diamonds, anything that is given to someone, what we would look to in a normal investigation is how did that person receive that diamond and what was the purpose for them receiving that diamond? Was it a gift? Was it a loan, or was it for services rendered? So those would be the things that we would look into. When
you see a Chinese company purchase $23 million in diamonds, 18 different transactions, does that make you suspicious of anything?
Yeah, so I don't want to speak to any of the anything that might be. What I can tell you is in a normal investigation, what we would do is we try to trace back that transaction. We tried to figure out where this came from. We would interview witnesses. We would do all sorts of things to establish why that diamond was given to someone.
Cyprus. What reputation does Cyprus have?
So I don't know any of the exact. I do know of Cyprus. Cyprus has come up as a part of investigations within the IRS. I can't speak to any specifics of Cyprus.
Okay, you can't talk about the reputation of that island with regards to taxes, money laundering?
I can't speak to any of the specifics of that on this interview.
Okay. I'm going to leave then there at that. Joseph, you're now, and your agency is being sued by Hunter Biden. When you heard about that lawsuit, what went through your mind?
Yeah, I think that the Biden family attorneys have given up on arguing the facts anymore, and now have decided their best defense is to muzzle us and intimidate us, and it's not going to work. We won't be muzzled, and we're not going to distract from the mountains of evidence that are coming forward to the House Ways and Means Committee that they're uncovering daily. They're trying to distract from recent testimony by IRS employees that established two things most recently, that being that the District of DC, the President Biden U.S. attorney declined to partner with bringing charges in that district, and that the President Biden appointed U.S. attorney in the Central District of California also said no to bringing charges in that district. All of this information is available on the House Ways and Means website and is available, like you can go onto their website and view our testimony. So it's publicly available.
All right. Well, you're a brave man. Keep up the good work, and we'll be following up with you as this develops. Thank you so much, Joseph.